Hi, and welcome to the McTaggart Attack podcast. I'm Kevin McTaggart. Thank you so much for downloading the podcast today. If you could please do me a favor and subscribe, share, and review the podcast wherever you listen to it, that would be great. In today's episode, I want to talk about the 10 influential albums that I posted on Facebook for the past 10 days. I think most of you are aware of those 10 influential albums in 10 days thing where that 10 influential albums in 10 days thing where like someone nominates you, after they list an album. So you have to nominate 10 people each, basically throughout the whole thing. And I think karma bit me in the ass because of this, because on my Stupid People Chronicles Instagram post, I wrote a post about the album challenge, the 10 albums in 10 day challenge. And I said, basically, do you want to leave your social security number and date of birth as well? Basically saying that's, how people fish for your passwords or whatever. So I posted about that. And then the very next day, GW Foley nominated me for this challenge. I should have seen it coming. I thought, well, wait, if I do this, I might get nominated for the challenge. But no, I won't. But yes, I did. So, but for the challenge, it says that you just list the band and the album and no explanation. But I wanted to give explanations for why I posted them all. And thank God I have a podcast where I can do that. So that's what this episode's about today. This episode, I'm going to explain all 10 choices that I made for this stupid 10 albums in 10 days challenge thing. First of all, I wasn't going to list 10 Pearl Jam albums. Yes, there have been 11, but when I think of influential, I think of when you're younger. So I thought of ones that I bought or listened to, in my late teens, early 20s. So that's where most of these choices came from. Actually, that's where all of these choices came from. These are all albums that I basically listened to when I was in college or high school. That's one comment that they all have. And another comment that they all have are some of them are the first albums or CDs that I ever bought for a band. Some of them are not, but I'll explain all of those. And one thing I did like about this challenge was that whenever I nominated someone, they would comment back and be mad at me. So that's one positive that I got out of this album challenge, annoying the crap out of people. And some of them didn't do it. That's fine. You don't have to do it. I'm not the one going to hell. I'm not going to hell for the album challenge, but if there is a hell, I'm not saying that I'm going to hell. I don't think I am, but yeah, I'm not going to go to hell for not listening to an album challenge. That's for sure. Not participating in an album challenge, So, day one was Live's Throwing Copper. And I think this was the second CD I ever purchased in 1995. Because I was driving around in South Florida that summer, and I heard Lightning Crashes and a few other live songs from that album on the radio. And I'm like, oh, I want to buy this CD. So I did. I did. So that's why I picked Lives Throwing Copper. Day two was Soundgarden's Super Unknown, and I picked that one because it's an album that I got when I was, in college, and I thought all the songs were great, so that's why I purchased that, and I was right. Like, that's my favorite Soundgarden album, so that's why I picked that one. And I don't think it's the first Soundgarden album that I ever bought, though. I don't think it was. I think I got the one that they came out with after that, and then I bought Super Unknown, but I can't remember exactly. I think I got Super Unknown first, before that. I can't really remember. Or I may have bought them at the same time. I don't really know. I don't even know what that Soundgarden album is called. Let's see. I'll look it up. And Down on the Upside. That's what it's called. I think I bought Down on the Upside first. And then I bought Super Unknown. And then later I bought Bad Motorfinger. I think I bought the 3 albums in reverse. So that was day 2. Day 3 was Pearl Jam's Vitalogy. Yes, I finally listed a Pearl Jam album. People were clamoring to ask me, when are you going to list the Pearl Jam albums? Like, whatever. But yeah, Pearl Jam's Vitalogy was actually the first album of Pearl Jam's that I ever bought. And I listened to that, and then this was in like 1995, because I got a CD player for my birthday in 1995. My first one. So then Vitalogy was my first Pearl Jam album that I got in probably the fall of 95. And then a week later, I had to go buy 10 in Verses. So then I had the entire Pearl Jam collection of albums at that point, because it was only 1995. So that was day 3. What was day 4? Day 4 was 10. Day 4 was Pearl Jam's album 10. That's what that leads into. Like, I got Pearl Jam's album 10, and because I hadn't realized that I'd actually heard a lot of Pearl Jam songs and didn't know that they were Pearl Jam songs at the time. And then I heard 10, and I'm like, oh, okay. All right, then. And it just, made a lot of sense for me to, it all clicked. And I'm like, oh, okay. So all these songs were stuck in my head because I had heard them like on TV or in a restaurant or somewhere. And, then I bought the album and I'm like, oh, that's where I've heard these before. So that's why 10 was very influential. So that was day 4. I want to say, I'm going to go through the list here. I want to say for day 5, and these are in no particular order. These are just albums that I thought would be influential. I made sure that they were in no particular order because I don't want to put them in order. That would be stupid. And so 10 was day 4, and Tool's album Enema was day 5. Tool's album Enema was day 5, and I remember, I think it was like 96 when that album came out, and that was like my first. I got that album for Christmas, I think, but I had heard like their songs on the radio or what have you prior to that, and I thought it was great. Or I think I actually heard some college friends play them at their house, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, let me try this out, and I did, and I thought it was pretty good. So I got Tool's Enema, and then I got their other albums. I think there was like 1 or 2 to get before that at that time, but yeah, Tool's Enema was like my first foray into like heavy metal music. And yeah, it's still a great album today. It's definitely an album that I feel like influenced me and left a mark on me, and I thought it was great. It's an album I like. You can use the word influence for several different reasons. So that was day 5. Day 6 was another Pearl Jam album, Versus. I bought Versus the same day that I bought 10. And Versus, another Pearl Jam album, because I had to have more Pearl Jam albums than any other band, any of the other bands combined. But Versus is a very much different style than 10, which is good, because you don't want to have the same sounding songs on all of the albums. I think all of Pearl Jam's albums, for the most part, have like a different feel to all of them. And I think that's important when a band comes out with an album. Unlike U2, whose last couple albums all sound the fucking same. But yeah, Versus is definitely one of the first CDs I got. And so again, that's why that was very influential to me. And I just enjoyed it. And again, with Versus, like 10, it was like an album where like, oh yeah, I've heard that song before. So that's why I had to get it. So I was finally up to date on my Pearl Jam album purchases when I got 10 and Versus in the same day. And let's see. So that was day 6. Day 7 was Nirvana Unplugged. The MTV Unplugged in New York. So I got this album. This CD was actually the first CD that I ever bought. And that's why it's on this list. It's the first CD that I ever bought. So, yeah. And I have a few of the other Nirvana albums, but I actually like Unplugged a lot more than... I bought their albums like maybe 10 years after I bought this one. And I never really got into Nirvana that much because I bought a CD player after Kurt Cobain had died. So I didn't want to get into a band where the lead singer was dead because there's no fucking point to that. So that was day 7. Day 8 was another Pearl Jam album. This was No Code, which came out in 96, I believe. And I was excited to buy this one because this was the first new Pearl Jam album that I ever bought. This is the first album that was coming out after I had become a fan of theirs, so I was very excited about it. And it's very different from any of their other albums. And I don't think... I like it more now than I did back then, I think. But yeah, no... It being the first new Pearl Jam album I ever bought, that came out after I was a fan, that's the reason why it's one of my 10 influential albums. So that was day 8. Day 9, I was torn about, because I knew what day 10 was going to be. But day 9, I was torn between Weezer's Blue Album and the Eminem Marshall Mathers LP. And because it was Marshall Mathers LP was the only first rap album I ever listened to. But I picked Weezer's album because there are more songs. I love every song on that album. I don't like most of the songs on the Marshall Mathers LP. So that's why I went with how many songs did I like on the Weezer Blue album compared to the Marshall Mathers LP. And I'm pretty sure I liked every song on the Blue album. So that's why the Blue album made this list. And I think I got it for Christmas the same year that I got the Tool's Enema for Christmas. And number 10 was... day 10 was Pearl Jam's Yield. And this album came out like my senior year in college, and it was the second new Pearl Jam album that I was able to buy. since becoming a fan of them. And that's why that one's on the list. So that's my 10 influential albums and an explanation for why each of those albums made it on my list in no particular order. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast today. I really appreciate it. If you could please subscribe, rate, and review, that would be wonderful. And look at the links in the show notes, and you can get some free stuff. Free stuff in the show notes. Free stuff in the show notes. And that's the bottom line. If you smell what the McTaggart Attack podcast is cooking.